Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Make It Till You Make It. I was editing my second video for my channel yesterday and realized that when I put my music in, I wanted to have a little title pop up to say what the title of the music was so that people can know the names of the tracks in case anybody likes it. And in Final Cut Pro, they have some standard lower thirds, but none of them really looked right for the channel, so I realized I need to make my own lower third to match what I'm trying to develop the style of this channel. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, I'm not an expert in Motion. I've used it a few times. I made the title for the channel already. I've made a few things in the past, but I'm not a pro. I can do basic things, but that's all we're going to do. And in the nature and the purpose of this channel, I'm just going to make something. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but hey, here we go. So we're going to make a Final Cut title. And you're going to have to give me just a moment while I rearrange my window for the screen recording. Okay, so I've rearranged the window. So now you're going to see Motion, if you're not familiar with it, is similar to other editors. It's got the timeline just like in Final Cut Pro. It's got a preview window. It has an inspector and a library that you can pull items from. And it has layers, kind of like Photoshop, if you're familiar with that kind of a software, or other photo editors, that kind of a thing. And this is kind of an important element here because we're going to be working with some masking layers so that we can make some text appear and disappear from wherever we want. So what I want to do is make a little lower third that says make it music or make it radio maybe, and have kind of a little background so it can cover up whatever's underneath, have it appear out of nowhere and then disappear again, and then a space for the name of the track as well behind some shapes or background. So I want to have it appear kind of like I do the main title of the channel. And to do that, we need some masks. So what we first need to do is just make a couple other layers. We're going to make two new groups. Okay, and we'll call this the bottom text. And top text, and that'll explain that in a minute. And we're also going to make a new group for some background shapes. Okay, so now there's already a text layer here and a title background. The background is whatever video we're putting this over, so we're just going to leave this alone and leave it in the back. This text, however, we don't really want to go here. We're going to move it into the top text for now. And we want to choose some things about here. So we'll go into the inspector and start by, we're going to use the Garrett font. That's the one I've chosen for my channel. I think the size is okay, I think, for a lower third. We might go a little bigger. See here, and then the text is going to be make it radio. Oop, and it didn't take because I typed in the wrong place. And apparently I'm clicking wrong. It's giving me the transform options, but not the text. Oh, because I created an emitter. How did I even do that? I must have typed something in the wrong place and a bunch of stuff came up. So we're going to just delete that. We don't need a cloned layer. Let's just get rid of that. In fact, we'll get rid of it all. So in the top text, we're going to make a new text. We're going to put it down here. And we're going to type in it. There we go. Make it radio. And this is definitely too small. We'll make it a little bigger. We also need to center the text on the alignment. And this will be important for what we're going to do next. All right, and let's place it in a nice rounded area. How about 240? Yeah, that looks good. Okay, and we're gonna have it come up white. I think white looks good for these kinds of titles, but we need to put a background behind it in case, you know, if we're in underground mode or something, in city skylines, or doing some video with just really bright video down here. We want it to stand out. So let's put some background shapes in. We have the shape tool here, so we're gonna put in a couple rectangles. In fact, we're just gonna make one for now. And we need to move this layer down. Ooh, hey. Okay, and then a rectangle. I want to grab the colors from my logo, so I'm going to open that folder up real quick, and we can use the eyedropper. There we go. So that's the color we want for our shape. Apparently it's still black. Oops. Okay, I solved the color problem. Funny thing, you want to know what it was? I somehow changed the color rendering. So under, I think it was under channels. Yeah, I must have hit Shift R when I tried to type a capital R in my text, but wasn't. It did this instead. So that happened. Oops. But now I know how to fix it. Where's that menu again? All right, so we've got our little shapes. Now, I'm gonna get rid of this one. We only want one for now. And I do want to make it a nice rounded square, so we're gonna round those corners a bit. Let's say 20 maybe? Yeah, that looks good, right? Yeah, a little too rounded. Let's, maybe about 10. Yeah, that looks good. All right. And the size, let's go a little bigger. 120. And we want to center this on our text. Now we're going to duplicate these, make a couple copies. We'll change the colors of a couple of them and then move them around so they're where we want. So we have this bottom text, we have this top text, and what we want to do is have it come out, the text just kind of materialize from behind some magic line that splits it down the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this text, I'm going to duplicate it. I need 2 copies, and one of them is going to go in this bottom text thing. So right now they're both in the same place. Now the other thing I need to do is create some masks for each of these layers. So what we're going to do is choose the top text layer, and we're going to create a mask layer. And we can do that just by making a nice little square. And we're going to cut the text right in half, just about like that. Okay. Now I want to hide the bottom text channel for now. So now you can see this mask right now is set up so that it hides the text that's outside the mask. We actually want to invert that. Or no, actually, you know what? Let's leave it. Now it's the bottom text. So let's leave it, but we're gonna make it the top text. So now it's the top half of the text. This mask can stay right where it is. The text will only appear if it shows up in there. And we're gonna do the same thing for the bottom text. Except we're gonna make our mask the other way around. Okay, now our animation here is a total of I believe 6 seconds long, yeah, 180 frames. And we want it to start right at the beginning. So let's grab these and slide them in the editor right to the beginning, but we want to add some behaviors. Now we could do it with behaviors, but actually I'm just going to do some keyframing because that's a little easier. So what I want to happen is that this text needs to disappear out of its split frame. So let's hide the bottom text for now so you can see what's happening. And we'll just start with the top text. And the text is 60 points. So I don't know if that means 60 pixels in this editor or not, but we'll find out. But we select the text in our top text here. And we're going to go to Properties. And it has its position. And we're going to click this little button here, and that creates a keyframe at this point in the timeline, which is 0, right at the beginning. Okay? And I want the text to be fully in after 1 second. So we'll just have a 1 second in for this title. And we'll have a 1 second out, and then it'll be in for a total of 4 seconds, so people can read it. And we might be able to make that editable too. But all right, so at frame 31, we're going to make another keyframe, and now this is where we want it to be at the end. So we go back to our first keyframe, and now we change the position of the text to where we want it to go, and we want it to just disappear. So now you can use these buttons to navigate between the points there. So we're down 30, up 30. Now we'll have to change our mask box. It's not exactly in the right place. So let's do that. Let's clean up that mask right now. So now the other thing we can do is we can actually look at those points in our little editor here. This is kind of small. Let's see if we can make that a little bigger. And we can see the transforms here. Now those two don't really go anywhere, so let's hide those for now. The other thing we can do is we can decide if we want it to ease in or ease out. I would say ease both. Because we have to do both points. Ease both, then we get a nice smooth thing. So if we play that, yoop. Great, so that's the top of the text. We're going to do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, so now I can see that that works quite nicely. Those just come right out of nowhere, almost like they're splitting out of their own mirror image. And okay, so we make it radio. Now let's animate the little squares. So first of all, we need to set them in a perfect position, but what I want them to do is kind of rotate in like the title does when it goes out. So I'll have them rotate in and appear from nothing. And maybe even have them angle a little bit. So let's put them where we want in the final position, starting here. Okay, that's a nice little ending position. So now we can actually keyframe all of these on the rotation and the scale. Create another keyframe, and we're going to have it scale all the way down to 0. Oops, oh, it goes negative. Neat. And we want it to spin, oh, I don't know which way. Do a 360. So then if we play, whoop, that's kind of nice. Give it a nice ease in so it slows down. Now something else we can do is actually apply a behavior to it. If we go to our library, we have all sorts of behaviors, and the one I would actually be interested in is one called overshoot. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Okay, yeah, I found it. So it's rotation, we're rotating around Z. So we'll click on the overshoot. We're going to apply it to the transform rotation Z. Our start value we said is 380. End value is 20. Okay, that looks a little weird because we have a keyframing and a behavior, so let's get rid of one of those. Okay, well, we can play with some of these parameters real quick and see what looks the best. The scaling is a little slow, so I think I need to change the scaling first. Yeah, there, now you can see the behavior here and what it looks like. There we go, we're at the ramp duration to be about 70%. And we have a little step happening there, and that's very strange. That looks better. So now we can replicate that for the other squares. So I think that looks pretty good. Whoop. Okay, now all of our squares with that nice little spinny move. Whoop. And we just need the scaling now. Now what we can do is, instead of using the keyframing, is we could actually use the exact same behavior, but now on a scaling overshoot. So let's try that. That looks good. So it looks really good. Now what we can do is, it looks kind of boring with them all coming in at once, so we can do a little staggering. So we'll do that by adjusting the ramp duration. So now we have our little title there. Now we need a space to put in the name of the track, and this will be editable. Now right now I think this Make It Radio track is also editable, but we don't want that to be editable because that is never going to change. This is editable in Final Cut Pro. We're going to say nope. Okay, now for the name of the track, we can either have it come underneath or to the right, or above, or we may have to play around with this a little bit later, but for now let's just make a title and have it come in. So for this, let's make a new group because it'll be separate from the others. Okay, we call it track name. We'll add some text to it. Okay, and I'm going to take a little break while I think about what I want this to look like. Okay, I just made a few quick adjustments while I was offline here, nothing exciting, so I won't even talk about it, but what I want to do now is add a little background for this track name part, and then we need an in and out animation for that, and an out animation for everything else we've made here. So for a backing, I was thinking just, let's keep it simple. Let's just make a little block that goes right behind it. So we're going to make a shape. We want to make sure we're in the right group. Okay, Okay, and the shape will go, just be a nice square, or rather rectangle, right behind the text, like that. We'll just make it black for now. Okay, and obviously we need it behind the text, so we're going to slide that down in the group layer. Okay, so there it is. It's not very exciting, but we want it to come in with the text. We could have it slide in from the left. We could have it all come from behind the Make It Radio logos. I think that's a good idea. Maybe that's what we'll do. So we need to move that layer behind all of this. Okay. And let's see, I think the point where we want it to start to appear is when the block gets big enough to hide it. Okay, now let's change its opacity. We don't need it to be fully black. About 60%, just enough to make the white visible. Okay, and we're gonna add a keyframe here. And we wanna give it 1 second in. Make another keyframe. And now we're gonna mess with the scale. I'm gonna have to check the easing. Yes, something's not easing the same as everything else, so. Ease in. There we go. Now it should work nicely together. Just slides out right like that. And we need to animate our track name as well. Now I could have it come in and out just like the other text, but then we need to double it and do all that. So why don't we just have it come out the same kind of way, but using a masking box. I'm going to move things around a little bit. I want this rectangle to be behind all of these. Okay, now we can put a masking layer here. Okay, we're going to use this mask as a way of kind of having the text appear in a slightly different way to the other one, but it'll have a similar feel, only because I'm feeling lazy. Okay, so now if I play this right, just like that. Okay. There we go, and then we just need everything out in the last second. So the Make It Radio will go out just like it came in. Okay, and we'll have the rectangle go out the way it came in with some scaling. And we'll just have it scale all the way out. And then the track name has to do the same. We'll do it with the mask. Yep, and it looks like the box is squeezing the text. Yoop, gone. Okay, which just leaves our 4 little Make It Radio background boxes that need to get out. Now, we can go a couple ways. We can have them go out the way they came in, or we could do something a little different. I think, okay, I decided what I wanted to do is a little complicated, but I think it's going to be worth it and make a cool effect. Plus, you know, it's all about having some fun here. We're going to make what we want to make. So what I want to do is have them do kind of a similar behavior where they spin around, but instead of having them shrink back down, I'm going to have a mask open up from the inside and consume the colored area. So we need to make a mask for every single little block. So we'll grab the layer we want. We're going to grab our little mask here. We're going to make a little square. We have to make sure that they actually are square. We'll give it the same roundness as the others, which is 10. So we need to make a mask for each one of these. And the mask doesn't need to exist until frame 151. So we're going to start at 151. Yeah, let's do this with keyframes. We're not going to use the overshoot because we don't need to. Now we need to match the keyframing on the objects themselves. So the scale is going to stay the same. They're just going to spin. And just like that, they disappear. Poof. Okay. So now notice there's a little halo there. And that'll, in the next frame, it'll be completely gone, so that's probably okay. But we could also just increase the scaling of our mask a little bit to avoid that due to any aliasing. But first, let's do some nice easing. So now we should have our full title. Let's see what it looks like in real time. Yeah, I think the only thing I don't like is it doesn't stagger on the way out. And also I think I want the rotation direction to be the same, so let's change that real quick. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little 2-frame stagger in here. Now this is going to be a little tricky, because I got to grab all of these and move them over 2 frames. So wish me good luck. So the trick is, you have to select all your nodes that you want to move and hold down Shift and make sure you don't slide up and down, because then it'll lock it up and down. And we only want to move left and right. There we go. Now it matches perfectly. Everything disappears. It's all gone at the end. The only thing I would change about this in general is that the Make It radio folds into itself, whereas the track name here just eats itself. So I would change that, but not for right now. Now, we're just going to save it, which now when you save it, it automatically publishes to Final Cut. So what I can do now that this is done, we're going to quit Motion, and we're going to open Final Cut. I've opened my project up, and this video it's cut, it's got audio, everything's ready to go, just there's no titles or background music put in yet. So what I'm going to do is, let's just go ahead and put one of these titles in, even though I don't have the music dropped in yet, but we can see how this looks. So I have my YouTube channel things here, and I have my Make It lower third, so I can just drag and drop this right to where I want it. Now there'll be a music track somewhere near the beginning, so I'll have it somewhere near the beginning. And there it is. And then if I stop it somewhere in the middle, I can change the name of the track. Chill while you make it. That's one of my tracks that I just made. And there it is. Now, one of the things I can look at is for this particular video, it comes up right over the UI. That's probably okay. It doesn't distract from what I'm doing on the screen too much. I actually don't mind the placement. It's not bad. I think overall, it's going to look pretty good. Now one thing I did notice, if you look at the very end of it there, the black box that comes up underneath the title isn't long enough. So there is a way to link that, but I think I'll make a separate video on how to do that. But for now, hey, we made something. Good for us.